This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministry.
Welcome to the Pain to Purpose podcast with your host, Melissa Johnson. Real talk, real transformation.
Well, hello there, Miss Stacy.
Hi, Melissa. How are you today?
Excellent, and welcome to the Pain to Purpose podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited about this conversation on today. Real talk, real transformation. I am especially grateful for this topic. As we deal with self-love and self-care, which I think is so important as it relates to women and as it relates to the pain that a lot of women experience in the area of self-love and self-care. And so I love the topic that you provided on today, liberating yourself to be yourself. I love that. I love that. So let's introduce Miss Stacey Henry-Carr to the show. And let me just tell you just a little bit about who she is. We're not going to go into a lengthy bio because our conversation will open up exactly who she is. And at the end of this broadcast, we will share with you her information and how you can get in contact with her if you need her assistance in this area that she specializes in. So who is Stacey Henry-Carr? She is a life coach. She is a hypnotherapist, and she is certified by Jay Shetty Life and Success Coach and Marissa Peer Certified Rapid Transformational Therapist Practitioner, a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. And she's a self-published author, transformational speaker. She's a podcast host, and she is also a life coach. We would like to welcome Stacey Henry-Carr to the show again. Welcome to the Pain to Purpose podcast.
I am so happy to be here. I love everything about the name, real talk, real transformation, pain to purpose. All of it is my language.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get started. And the way we want to start this conversation today is with this poem that I wrote. And the name of the poem is No More Mask. And it means a lot to me. And the reason that I wrote it is because it liberated me from a time when I wore a lot of masks, pretending to be someone that I was not. Why? Because I needed healing in the area of self-love and self-care. So that is why this topic is so dear to me. And I want to share just a little bit of the poem with you on today, and then we're going to get into our conversation. It says, I'm looking intently in the mirror to see myself, the deep down secrets I hide from mankind. I'm hiding the scars that brought me to masking the real me, walking around looking like I'm whole, but deep down inside, I'm broken into pieces. I've lived with this pain daily of my past mistakes, hoping no one will see my brokenness. I walk around with a smile on my face, but hurting painfully inside. I'm tired of this superficial, barely existing life of masking the real me.
Wow.
Stacey, can you just give us a little insight to why we mask the real person.
Yes. You know, your poem resonated with me. One of the things that I tell people all the time, the only reason I can hold space for people who are in pain, emotional pain, or any type of pain is
Mhm,
because I too have been there. And
mhm,
it's when you've been to the darkest parts of your life and have found yourself being able to handle your darkness that you can hold others, right?
yes,
So that poem is dear. The words I wrote down was hiding scars,
yes.
hiding scars.
Mhm,
And just like how we try to hide scars when we have a blemish on the face,
mhm,
you know, or a blemish, if we had a cut on our hand and we had a blemish, we put makeup on it or we do something to mask it.
mhm,
Just like that,
mhm,
we also mask our emotional pain.
mhm,
We mask our traumas. We mask our past issues. And traumas, I mean, can be defined in so many ways. We mask it because your question was like, why do we mask it? We mask it because we don't think anybody else will understand. We
mhm,
often think we're going through this alone. Nobody else can be going through something like this.
mhm,
But most importantly, we don't want to be judged.
mhm,
So we mask because we don't want to be judged. A lot of us mask because there's shame and there's guilt. And if we mask that, cover up what's going on with us, it's as if we're pushing away that shame and guilt. But
mhm,
most importantly, Melissa, if you and I knew that when we share our real selves to each other,
mhm,
scars and all,
mhm.
that I would embrace you and you would embrace me, you wouldn't mask.
I wouldn't mask. Wow.
You wouldn't mask. You
Okay.
would let free. You would let things free. You would just share. You would just be you. You wouldn't mask.
Mhm,
So when you ask the question, there are many reasons why people mask,
mhm,
but the overarching reason is judgment, fear
mhm.
of judgment.
Do you think, in addition to that, Stacy, that people are so ashamed of who they are or who they perceive themselves to be because of the low self esteem and self identity that they want people to see something different than who they really are because they are ashamed of who they are.
And yes, so most people think that who they are
Mm-hmm.
is um they're the only one, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
so,
Right.
so yes,
Yeah.
so I feel bad about this. I feel bad about myself. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I'm worthy. I don't think I'm deserving. I don't think I'm enough.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times it's I don't think I'm enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not enough for the world the way I am. So I'm going to put on this mask. I'm going to bling it out. I'm going to fancy it up
Mm-hmm.
with all of the things that we normally do, fancy it up. And then it helps us to suppress the
Mm-hmm.
real truth of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of your poem is so beautiful. Part of the what you wrote is about being broken in pieces.
Yeah.
And what I would love for people to know, and I tell my clients this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
none of us are broken in pieces. We just feel that way. And
Mm-hmm.
after we've been through so much in our lives, we feel broken because
Mm-hmm.
we feel beat up. It's like feeling beat up. So you feel broken, but none of us are broken. We're perfect, whole, and complete just the way we are. And it's the feeling broken that we're trying to hide, right? Because it's what
Mm-hmm.
we feel, we think it's all it's showing. And a lot of times, the people who feel the most broken, as your poem says, is the person who's walking around with that smile, the biggest smile, to
Mm-hmm.
cover the feeling of brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
So, self esteem, yeah, that plays a role. But most people who are going through the masking, they don't even have the awareness that their self esteem is in trouble or their self worth is in trouble. They're not even within that awareness.
Wow. And let me ask you a question before I get to my question, because I can recall so many days when I struggled in this area, and I can still remember this conversation just triggering those feelings of how I felt back then when I didn't know who I was, Stacy,
Hmm.
and I didn't know the purpose and the plan God had for my life. And so I thought there was something wrong with me.
Hmm.
And so I struggled with my identity. And in struggling with my identity, there was so much loneliness that led to pain. I
Mm.
didn't know how I would get through the day because of all of the loneliness. And it just penetrated my heart so bad because I just felt so lost.
Hmm.
And I didn't think no one understood where I was at and could help me because I was so lost and I couldn't understand how I got to this place,
Right.
why I'm at this place, and how do I move from this place.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
know there's so many women that are feeling this way, the loneliness, the
Yes.
isolation, and not knowing what to do. I didn't know that foundationally there was reasons why I was going through what I was going through. So, can you help us a little bit to understand the foundational reasons why we struggle in this area of self love, self identity, and we
Absolutely.
have this low self esteem of ourselves as women?
Ab- Absolutely. The first thing I'll say is that, you said a couple of words that I wrote down. You
Hmm.
felt loss
Hmm.
and loneliness. That loneliness, and that loneliness is huge. And if we stay in that loneliness for too long, we can really spiral into some deep depression, right?
Yeah.
So that loneliness is because the thing that happened that drove us to the feeling that we're feeling,
Hmm.
we believe that we're the only ones.
Hmm.
And just think about how many billions of people are in this world. But
Right.
when we are experiencing it,
Yeah.
we think we are the only ones. We
Hmm.
also feel a separation where we
Hmm.
feel like the next person will not understand. So you remember when I said, Melissa, if you knew that I would embrace you,
Hmm.
you would let it all out.
Hmm.
If I knew
Hmm.
that you would embrace me, I wouldn't
Hmm.
even think twice about letting it all out.
Hmm.
That's because, and that's where the loneliness comes in because we're afraid of the judgment. But your question, let me answer your question because it's
Okay.
really important.
Hmm.
Fundamentally, on a foundation,
Hmm.
everything boils down to the beliefs that we have in our minds. As human beings, we come in this world babies and we're just the cutest little things. We don't have any reservations. We just come in. We're expecting to be loved.
Hmm.
We're giving a lot of attention, and we do things like try to walk and fall over and get up and try again. Never think twice. You never see a baby really go, I'm never going to walk. They get up and they try, they fall. When they're
Hmm.
finished eating, what do? They throw up. And you never see a baby go, I'm being so self conscious because, my belly is full. Babies are just babies. We are just
Right.
free and we come in free. We come in without all of the labels,
Right.
right?
Innocence.
In
Innocence.
pure,
Innocent.
just innocent. You know
Innocent.
how you've ever heard they say babies talk to angels because they're so innocent and pure? I really believe that, right? And so what happens to us is
Mm-hmm.
that between the ages of birth,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes while you're in the womb, because that's an environment that you're pulling the frequency, the energy from your mother.
Mm-hmm.
So from that stage up to the age of 7, typically around that age, we're forming our beliefs. We're
Mm-hmm.
forming our beliefs about the world. We're
Mm-hmm.
forming our beliefs about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's young, right? But that's young,
Mm-hmm.
yes. But that's when we form our beliefs because that's when our brains, our mind is just wide open, just soaking things up.
Mm-hmm.
So, between that time period, also, our emotional intelligence are not yet developed to understand that when this thing over here is happening, it's not our fault. When
Mm-hmm.
this thing is happening, it's not really about us. But because our emotional intelligence are not yet developed in that time period, everything that happens between that time period in our lives, we lock that in our subconscious mind as a
Mm-hmm.
belief that somehow might be our fault. It's because of
Mm-hmm.
us, right? Now,
Yeah.
sometimes, Melissa, our caregivers, they don't do such a great job of making sure that
We're safe.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
we know that we're in an environment where we're safe,
Right.
or we recognize that if dad's an alcoholic, it's not our fault. If the
Mm-hmm.
divorce happened, it's not our fault.
Right.
Um, and a lot of us, including myself, get exposed to sexual abuse
Right.
because you're not being
Right.
protected,
Protected. Right.
and it's not just in the home. It's sometimes at school. It's
Right.
sometimes at church. I mean,
Church. Right.
right? Okay.
Right.
So what happens is that here's what connects it to us now as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
At that age, we learn how to survive through this thing, right? Whatever this thing is, and we go, you know what? Whenever this happens, I know I'm supposed to do this. I either
Mm-hmm.
shut down, maybe I cry, maybe I feel a nervous feeling. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many. I go hide, I
Mm-hmm.
shut myself out from the world. And then we tell our subconscious mind, anytime something like this happens, if it's remotely resembles this thing, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to go in alert, and this is how I want you to react to it,
React. Wow. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So we're doing that unconsciously.
Mm.
And then we carry that into our adult life,
Okay.
and we become adults who are still operating from those old, that's why we call them old, outdated, limited beliefs, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We're still operating from that place
Mm-hmm.
because we're not realizing that now that we're older, we can now understand the situations differently. We now can protect ourselves. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to hide anymore. The thing
Mm-hmm.
that happened wasn't our fault, so we don't have to feel guilty or ashamed,
Mm-hmm.
but we carry that with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the mask starts to come on.
Yes. Right.
I don't want anybody to see. Let me pretend I'm this. Let
Right.
me not,
Right.
I mean, we've
Yes.
all worn it. I wore it. I wore it for many years.
Many years. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Many years. It's it amazes me about the mass, and so I'm speaking now to our audience and the women that are watching us on today.
Mhm.
You're hiding behind the mask, but you will never be liberated behind that mask. You will never be whole, and you will never be your true self
Yes.
behind a mask.
Mm,
And that's why our subject today is liberating yourself to be
yours.
yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Why is that so important? Liberating yourself. First of all, what is liberation? And why is liberating yourself to be yourself so important?
Liberation to me really starts with awareness.
Mm-hmm.
When we're wearing a mask, Melissa,
Mm-hmm.
we're moving so fast
Mm-hmm.
and we don't slow down. Most in life, we don't slow down. We move really fast. It's one accomplishment over the other, over the other. We
Mm-hmm.
don't take time to celebrate one before we move on to the other. We
Mm-hmm.
go, 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 go. Because the
Mm-hmm.
moment we stop and stay in stillness, the mask is off and we have to actually see ourselves.
That's right.
We have to see our emotions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have to see the scars we've been masking,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
That's right.
liberating yourself first comes with awareness.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Awareness of, why am I moving so fast? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
moving so fast? Why am I a people pleaser? Why don't I have any boundaries? Why do I always say yes?
Mm-hmm.
And why does it seem like people take advantage of me?
Mm-hmm.
And why do I keep um, going to these toxic relationships? And
Mm-hmm.
so the first part of liberating yourself is the awareness of
Awareness.
your
Okay.
of your patterns,
Okay.
right?
That's good. Mm-hmm.
You must.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so important?
Mm-hmm.
How can you liberate yourself if you don't know what you're liberating yourself from?
Right. Right. So it's knowing who you are. The awareness part is looking at yourself intently in the mirror to understand exactly who you are and where you're at. Is that
Being
correct?
being honest, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
being honest, because when we wear a mask, we're being dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
And we're being dishonest to ourselves. And I think this is what people tend to forget, that wherever you go, you are.
That's right. That's right.
So it doesn't matter what mask you wear, wherever
Yeah.
you go, you are. And therefore, when we're putting on the mask and when we're being dishonest to ourselves, when we're ripping and running, when we're covering up everything, no matter where we go, we take us with us.
That.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you're right about that. Look yourself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And awareness is first.
I like that because I could remember being so busy. I can remember the mask, and the mask it's a shield, right? It's a covering,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you're covering, you believe that you're covering yourself from the world, right? But the person that you have to deal with each and every day, and I like how you say awareness, is yourself. So listen, you can wear this mask. You can wear it every day. You can choose. That's your choice.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's just you
And
and
you.
yourself. And you still have to deal with you. You still going to have to deal with those issues. You can only cover them up for so long. And you're going to have to make a choice. Either you're going to remain the same or you're going to do something to change your situation.
Yes. Yes. That's why the liberate yourself to be yourself, liberating yourself starts with being honest with yourself
Mhm.
first. And once you're honest with yourself, and I'm telling you this, the truth sometimes is very painful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it is.
Listen, let
Yes,
me lean in. Let me lean in.
yes, yes. Let me lean in too. Very painful when you see yourself in the mirror and you don't look so good.
The
That is not a pretty feeling.
the
Yes,
truth is painful.
it
But
is.
there is a quote by old philosopher Rumi, Rumi. The wound is the place the light enters you. The
Mm,
wound is the place the light enters you.
mm.
So, in order for us to liberate ourselves and truly be the light that we were born to be, we
Okay,
have to open the wound.
open the womb. So this is number two. Awareness is one, and the second one's open the womb.
Yes. So once you're aware, because you can't liberate yourself
Yes,
from what you don't
like
know,
that. Mm-hmm.
and once we become aware,
Mm-hmm.
We know, because we know what we know, what we know. And every time it comes up, you try to push it down. And every time
Mm-hmm.
it comes up, you try to push it down. And then it keeps you stuck. It keeps you in a rut. It keeps you doing all of the old patterns that are hindering you from living the life you desire, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, and also the life you deserve. And I'm gonna
Right.
write that word down because I think it's
I
very
like that.
important.
You're right.
I used to say that to my clients, and a friend of mine said, but when you say that to them, if they don't know that they deserve that, the life they deserve they may think it's the rut, the life they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's why you have to break that down.
You have to break
But
it down. Right.
you don't know that you deserve this grand life, abundant life,
Abundant
prosperous
life.
life,
Right. Right.
happy, joyful life. You don't know you
Right.
deserve that when you have a mask on.
When you have a mask on. Let me, you said something about number 2. Open the wound. I
Yes.
like that because that's going back to the trauma. Whatever has traumatized you now is this wound.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you need to open up this wound and deal with
Yes.
the trauma, whatever has traumatized you.
Yes.
That, would you say that is the foundation of why you're masking, or why you have this self-identity problem, or why you have a self-love problem, or why you have low self-esteem? Something has traumatized you. You've never dealt with that trauma, and it has become a wound.
So 99.9% of the time, that's a yes. But I need to put a caveat out there because sometimes when people hear trauma,
Mm-hmm.
they think sexual abuse. They think what therapists call the big T's.
Okay.
Abuse, but of any type, emotional, sexual, physical
Right.
abuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
think those big, scary things.
Mm-hmm.
But then anything can be trauma to any one
Absolutely.
of us.
Right.
What I describe as trauma may
Right.
not may not traumatize you.
Right.
You
Right.
understand? And so
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times people go, I don't have any traumas in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people say that all the time. I don't have any traumas in my life. And then
Mm-hmm.
we sit down and we do a hypnotherapy session, and the first thing that comes up is a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily a big abuse, but it could be the fact that mom was a single mom and she worked a lot. So she wasn't able to give this person attention.
Right.
And so this child felt pushed to the side.
Right.
It could mean that there were 3 children and this child was ostracized. I mean,
Right.
it could be so many little things, but
Mm-hmm.
that created a big emotional scar that
Emotional
made
scars.
made
Yes.
people feel like they're not good enough, they're not worthy. It could be
Mm-hmm.
I bring grades home, and every time I bring grades home, my parents focused on the lower grade, never congratulated me for the A's and the B's,
Mm-hmm.
always focused on the lower grades. So guess what? I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like nothing that I do is good enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Let me ask you this, Stacy. As it pertains to women, and we're talking about women and their pain and their low self-esteem, how we're talking right now, we're talking about wounds and scars.
Yes.
In your practice, how prevalent is it that little girls have their fathers in their lives? And when there
Mhm.
is a lack of their fathers in their lives, being their first love, being the one to validate who they are and let them know they're beautiful, how does that affect young girls?
I can speak. I can
I
speak.
can too.
I'm like, I have a lot of my clients in my mind right now, but right
Mhm.
now I can speak for myself
Yes.
that not having that was
Mhm.
huge. I had my grandparents because my grandparents raised me, but
Right.
there was always a sense of
Always.
rejection.
Yeah.
always a sense of rejection,
Mm-hmm.
always a longing for.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
just made me look for love in all the wrong places. It
Absolutely.
made me seek out that which I was longing for, right?
Yes.
But your question was how much I see that so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you do the work you go into a meeting session with a client with an open ears, clean slate. My paper is always blank. The only thing is on the top is the person's name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about what the last client said or what it could be, should be, could be. I'm just open to what comes up for them via my session. And but one of the questions I asked was, how is your relationship with your parents? I always ask that. With
Mm-hmm.
mom, dad. And
Right.
whenever the adult says, as a child, dad was either an alcoholic
Mm-hmm.
or dad was absent,
Mm-hmm.
there was always a void.
Void. Yep.
And that always comes back to, I don't feel good enough.
Yep.
I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel good enough, and I don't feel deserving. Because when dad doesn't think I'm good enough to show up for me as a
Yep.
child, my mind at that young age says, you must not be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
When dad choose alcohol over
Mm-hmm.
being present for the family, a
Mm-hmm.
child's emotional intelligence, Melissa,
Mm-hmm.
does not know that dad have his own things that he's dealing with, his own traumas, his own past issues. A child says, it must be me.
Must be me. Yeah.
I'm not good enough. Dad
Yeah.
is drinking again. What did I do wrong? So that child become a people pleaser, right? They start
Mm-hmm.
cleaning up the house
Yeah.
quickly, straightening up their room, making sure everything is P's and Q's because it must be me.
They internalize it. They
Always.
internalize it. Yeah. Yeah.
Almost all the time,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what the parents are doing,
Mm-hmm.
that child will never blame the parent. They blame
Mm-hmm.
themselves. They
Themselves.
only start blaming the parent when they become older and they look back. They look back and they're like, my mama, my daddy, my da-da-da-da.
Oh my gosh.
But
Mm-hmm.
typically, when they're children, they
Mm-hmm.
look up to these people are their heroes, and they look up to them. And no
Mm-hmm.
matter what they do, children don't say, my mom is wrong. Children say, oh my goodness, what did I
Do.
do?
Mm-hmm.
Children don't say, my dad was an alcoholic. Children say, what did I do to cause him to drink?
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministries, LLC, creator of the Pain to Purpose program. It is just a pleasure to come to you each and every week to inspire you to pursue your purpose passionately. You have been given a God-given purpose. When you were created with a purpose in mind. And it's up to you to discover what that purpose is and to pursue it passionately each and every day of your life. At the end of your days, you can say, I have finished what I was created to do.
The Pain to Purpose Transformation System. This system is created for you to take you from a life of pain into a life of purpose so you can realize personal success.
This is a life coaching program that will transform your life. It's an 8-week discovery of who you are and what you have been called to do. This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministries. Be inspired to inspire the world.
Pain to Purpose, taking you from a life of pain, of not knowing who you are and what you have been called to do, to a life of purpose, stepping into your calling and pursuing personal success passionately. Wow Ministries, coaching programs designed for you. You can book your consultation now at wildministriesllc.com.
Have a wild kind of day.
And we are back. Welcome back, Stacy,
Thank you. I'm
to the
excited.
Pain to Purpose podcast.
Yes, this is an awesome conversation we're having.
Oh my gosh, liberating yourself to be yourself. And we ended with number 2, which was opening up the womb.
womb.
Yes.
Yes.
And so did you want to say anything else about that, Stacey, before we moved on?
You know, so first we look in the mirror.
Mhm.
So just look in the mirror, because most of us don't. We would look in the mirror and we put on our eyeshadow and our lipsticks and we fix our hair, but we don't look in the mirror. So look in the mirror, get that awareness. Then when you get that awareness and it comes up and it feels like it's about to be ugly, you're going to do the ugly cry. You may even buckle and fall down on the ground and curl up like a baby. It may be really ugly. It is okay. Get the assistance you need, get the support you need, do what you have to open that wound.
Yes.
You know, if it's going to be too much, I never recommend a person open that wound alone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you open that wound because, like Rumi says, the wound is the place the light enters you. When you open it, it feels horrible. But as you work through it, then that feeling starts to get better and better and better. And I'm telling you this because I know this to be true. Personally, for myself and for many, many clients who had to open the wound to shed the light in.
Yes. That is just awesome. And so we're still talking about liberating yourself. And so what are some of, if we can go into dysfunctional behaviors as a result of these wounds that women can identify, just in case they may not really understand what we're saying. Maybe they'll understand the behaviors that come from these open wounds. Can you share some of the behaviors?
Yes, some of them are really so mild, like so mild, right? So patterns, watch for your patterns, relationship patterns. Are you going from one relationship to the other? And each relationship you go to, it resembles the last one, is just the face is different. The person is different. So relationship patterns, that's important. And that's how it shows up in that manner. Watch to see if you are a people pleaser. You don't have boundaries. You don't know how to say no. You feel really bad if you have to say no to someone. Watch for that. Watch for things like the busy bee. I call it the busy bee syndrome. Busy bee syndrome. You can't sit still. Because if you stay still, the floodgates are going to open up. The thoughts are going to come through. Watch for those things. Watch for things like, you have more within you. You have so much more that you can offer. But every time you get close, you back up. Right? Not good enough. Oh no, I'm not good enough. The ideas are so bright. They're so brilliant. But every time you get close, you back up because you're not good and you feel like you're not good enough. Watch for the scarcity mindset where, money becomes an issue. You kind of put your hand out. Money, I call those money wounds, right? Money wounds come from so many reasons, but a lot of it is the poverty or the lack or the scarcity mindset we might have been brought up in. And there's so many other reasons. I've done a couple of things on reversing and rewiring, helping people rewire with money wounds. Watch for the way you treat your children if you're a parent, you're a mom. Watch for that sharpness when you're triggered, because our bodies keep score. And a lot of times we hold on in our nervous system, we're holding on to that thing that we're suppressing, and we take it out on other people when we're bleeding on everybody else. Watch for that. And there's so many more. There are times, Melissa, when the woman don't even know what. She just feels it deep within her soul that something is not okay.
Not okay. So we're talking about pain to purpose, how to get from this state of pain. And the pain today is low self-esteem, not knowing your identity. And we want to dispel that to get to knowing who you are so you will know your purpose. How do we begin the healing process, Stacy, of transitioning to that other place?
So the awareness is one, right? Look yourself in the mirror and be honest, be truthful. Like I always tell people, you're only lying to yourself. And the longer you lie to yourself, you're stretching out this problem longer and longer for you.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And the open wounds.
The
Okay.
open wound is number 2.
Okay.
And then do the work consistently.
Okay.
Be consistent. You know how someone may go in and get help, however they get the help, from a counselor, from a therapist, they get help. And they get the help and they feel better and they stop.
Right. Thinking they're okay.
Thinking they're okay because they were Band-Aid. The Band-Aid. You know how we love to put Band-Aid over things so that
over the cut.
Over the cut. So when you open that wound and you started working on that wound, don't just, as soon as you get a revelation of something and you feel a little good, you're like,
right, you think it's gone. I'm healed.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. The reason why it's not yet is healing is a journey.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I am still healing.
Yes.
The reason why I'm still healing, it's because it's a journey. And every step of that journey, there is a different level of healing that comes, right?
Yeah.
And
that's
so
good. That's so good. Wait a minute. Let me say that. That is so good. Why? Because you don't have to feel like it has to happen instantaneously. No. Everything happens right now. And if it doesn't happen, something is wrong with me. Listen, Stacy says it's a journey.
It's a journey. We're all on a healing journey.
Yes.
And if I can back up and say, if you take the healing out, life is a journey. And remember the pretty little baby that was just like pure and all that?
Innocent, right.
Somebody messed with that pretty little baby.
Right.
In some way or the other.
Right.
That caused for the healing to go next to the journey. And so it is a constant thing. Why is it a constant thing? Because when we think we're healed and we stop doing the work,
right,
we go right back to the old habit.
Wow. Yeah.
We go back to the old pattern. So people may be saying, so are you telling me I'm on this healing journey for the rest of my life? Yes, but it's a level. Every level looks different. So I'll give you an example. I'm on the spiritual part of my journey. So what I mean by that is, first I started with the mind. That's the beliefs, understanding the beliefs, disrupting the beliefs, asking questions. And then I went to my body to see how are these beliefs, those old traumas, those old limiting things about how I felt about me in life, causing my body to feel the way it feels, the ailments, the headaches, the belly aches, the backache, all of that. So then I went to the body and I was able to find, listen to what I'm saying, I was able to find how the emotional scars were affecting my physical body. And then I was like, okay, that's all good and well, but why do I still feel like there's something missing? And the what was missing is me tightening all together. It's mind, body, and
Body and
soul.
mm-hmm.
Because your soul is here on a journey for a reason, purpose, pain to purpose. Your soul is here. It's got something to do. And when we're healing, we discover, or should I say, rediscover, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
find. We don't find purpose because purpose is not lost.
Right.
We rediscover purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So mind, body, soul. It's a trio, y'all. You cannot do one without the other
Mm-hmm.
and successfully feel okay.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. Thank you. That was so good. So we're at our last questions and we're almost at the end. And so I definitely want to talk about a little bit about, because the subject is liberating, of course, to be, who you are. But what does self-care and self-love look like? Now, is that falling under the same category of awareness and open wounds, or is that something a little different?
It's a little different
Okay.
because I don't let's just look at an and if you have an avatar of a woman who is not aware, they take care of themselves maybe physically,
Mm-hmm.
but self-love is not just about, and self-care is not just about your physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you take care of yourself emotionally also. It's
Mm-hmm.
when you take care of the soul. What does the soul need? What, in
Mm-hmm.
all the chaos of what's going on in this world, what does Stacy's soul need today? What
Needs.
does Melissa's soul need
So
today?
needs. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, is self care and self love a part of all of this? Yes. But, Melissa, it's very rare that it comes early on because this woman, this that's going through this thing, doesn't even know she deserves self-love. She doesn't even know she deserves self-care, right? Because for
Mm-hmm.
so long this woman have put everybody else in front of her.
So, at what point is there an awakening
For to know
to know?
that
Yeah,
you love
that
yourself.
she, yeah.
Well, let me put it in context of me and the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
When I have a client who is looking to understand what's going on with them,
Mm-hmm.
and in hypnosis they find their truth, and they
Mm-hmm.
always do.
Mm-hmm.
I do age regression, and they find themselves seeing in their mind or remembering or having a feeling of what might have caused them to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It is during that time that I can have them look at it not from the 5-year-old that they used to be, but
Mm-hmm.
from the 30 or the 40 or the 50-year-old that they are today.
Okay.
And they reframe that. When they reframe that, then they can realize, you know what? That's not my fault.
Mm.
I can love myself.
Okay. That's good.
That's not my fault. I am
Mm.
enough. That's not my fault. I deserve abundance. That's not, you know what I mean?
That's good. I like that. Reframe. Okay.
So the only way to get to that place is
Yeah.
to reframe the old.
Okay. Okay. And so we reframing the old with new, with the new.
Well, you reframe the old and then you rewire it with the new. So
New.
it's
Okay.
reframe, reprogram, rewire. So the
Reprogram.
reframe is,
Reprogram.
yes. So the reframe is when you look at it and you
Mm-hmm.
go, wait a minute, that wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because now you're not 5 or 6 or 7, and you're looking at it from the lens of a older, wiser individual.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you do that reframe, and let me tell you, the subconscious mind is a powerful thing. We
Mm-hmm.
do so many things in autopilot through our subconscious mind. So when we're able to rewire, reprogram, reframe things from that perspective, it is more permanent than when you do it from a conscious level.
Wow, that's good, Stacy. Thank you so much. Why is it important? We talked about liberating yourself to be yourself. Why is it important? You talked about the steps in doing that. But why is it important that we get to that point where we're actually liberated, that we know, Stacy, who we are? We know how we were designed. We are good with that.
Yeah.
And we know why we're here. And we start stepping into that place and walking that. Why is that important?
Man, as you're saying it, it's lighting me up. Like I could feel it, and you're saying all of that, Melissa, and I could feel the energy from my feet coming all the
Yes.
way up.
Yes.
It's important
Mhm.
because that's the only way you can truly live as the divine creator designed you to live.
To live.
I don't even know that I have another answer for that.
And guess what, Stacy? That is freedom. To be, I mean, see, we know both sides of the story, right? We've
Yeah.
been on that side, but we're
Yeah.
on we're on the other side of our journey
Yes.
right now. So we understand fully
Yes.
on how it is to get up in the morning, and when
And
our
feel
feet
so
hit the ground, we're free
Yes.
to be all He
To be
created us,
all that the
He
divine
created,
creator has created
created
us
us
to
to be.
be
Ooh,
able
yes,
to be able to share yourself with another person because you know that it's going to help that person to liberate themselves, to be able to take off the mask,
yes, it's
to be
gone.
able to be who you are born to
Right,
be, to not live in the constructs of society,
right.
to
And who they think you should be.
who they right, to be able to meditate in the middle of a busy airport and not
Mhm.
care that your eyes are closed and there's chaos going around.
Right.
There's freedom in that.
That's freedom. Yes. It's freedom in maturity. It's freedom in maturity. It
Yes.
really is. It is so,
Yes.
I mean, it's so liberating to live for purpose, not to live for a job, but to live for purpose.
And it helps you, Melissa, to live intentionally. So
Yes.
one of my things when I'm dealing
Mhm.
with clients is just like, you
Yes.
want to live intentionally, because if you get
Yes.
up and live an accident every day, you're going to be stressed out, anxiety filled, and there's
Mhm.
going to be a lot of that going on. So when you liberate yourself, then
Mhm.
you can start to live intentionally. You can start to live
Yes.
the way you want to live.
Yes. 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 Oh my gosh. And so we're down to the last question, and I hope this has helped so many women. I just hope, and we can't give you everything. We can't give
Yes.
you everything in 1 hour. I hope there's enough information in this conversation of real talk, real transformation to prick your heart to know that there is something not right, and I need to know what it is so I can be on that journey towards healing,
Yes.
so I can be liberated to be who God has created me to be. And so what is the results? What is the results? I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but what is the results of being liberated? And I know we said, the freedom and all of
Yes.
that,
Yes.
but talk a little bit about the
Yeah.
inner peace,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that transition now of where you were lonely and feeling
Yes.
depressed and couldn't make it through the day, to now you have these new
Yeah.
feelings inside of you. What are the results of being liberated?
The results of that is more intentional lives. You get up every day and you live life on your terms.
Yes.
And you don't have to walk on eggshells. You don't allow people or places or things to disrupt your peace, because you know now that you deserve that peace. And once you have cultivated that,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
really no going back.
No going back.
And once you've tasted a little bit of that freedom, there's really no going back.
No.
You want more.
More.
And
Yep.
the biggest one though, the biggest one is this. Through this liberation, you recognize that now this is big, guys. This is big, Melissa. You recognize that everything that you think you didn't have, you already had. Everything you desire, everything, the healing journey, you have it. We're so powerful.
Yeah.
We have it within us.
Yes.
And so you start to see that. You start to
Absolutely.
recognize your powers.
Power. Yes. 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 So true. And you start walking it out, right? And then everything starts to unfold.
It unfolds. You start to flow with life. You no longer stress over money. Yeah, you still have bills to pay, but you don't stress over it. You no longer stress the small things. You don't even stress at all. You live in gratitude for what you have now. You start waking up in gratitude. You start going to bed with gratitude.
Yes.
And then you wake up, like you said, ready for the day.
Yes.
It shifts the trajectory. Now, when you're on the floor curled up crying, it seems like a far away.
Right.
But consistency, doing the work, opening the wound, getting your support, but knowing all along that the healing that you're seeking is already within you.
Within you. Oh my God. Liberating yourself to be yourself. And I like how you ended that with gratitude. And I listened to a lot of successful people, and it was shocking for me to hear them say this. And it was three people that I can name. It was Steve Harvey, it was Deion Sanders, and it was Oprah Winfrey. And they all said the same thing: be grateful for what you have. And they say every morning when I wake up and my feet hit that floor, I said, Lord, I thank you. And I do that now every morning. When my eyes open, I say, Lord, I thank you.
Because I mean, gratitude. It's
Gratitude.
It's all it.
Yes.
I want to say this. I have a minute to run this down. If you can find yourself to find some time every day to be still and do prayer and meditation. I do meditation. You'd be surprised how much power is within that.
Wow, that is so good. And so, Stacy, I just want to thank you. And before we leave, I want you to just share with my viewers who you are again, how they can reach out to you and get contact with you if they are seeking to be liberated, if they're seeking hypnotherapy, if they're seeking life coaching. How can they get in contact with you so you can walk with them on this journey of liberation?
I am open to guide any woman through their journey. StaceyHenry-Carr.com. And I'm Stacey Henry-Carr on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And you can reach out to me. I do 30-minute discovery calls to talk to women about where they are and where they're looking to be. And the RTT session is 90 minutes, and it's one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself so that you can reframe, rewire, reprogram.
Reframe, rewire, and those are the three things that you want to leave with my viewers: reframe, rewire, and reprogram. Is that right, Stacy?
Can you hear me? Yes. If I want to leave three things with your viewers, though, I really want to do this.
Okay.
Look themselves in the mirror and be truthful to themselves.
Okay.
And allow themselves to open that wound. That's their start.
Very good. Again, thank you, Stacy Henry-Carr, for this transformational conversation on today. Liberating yourself to be yourself. The journey begins today. Thank you so much, Stacy, for your time, for your wisdom, for imparting all of these nuggets into our life on today. And we pray that women will not walk away, but they will search out for the truth and be healed and be liberated and be all that God has created them to be. This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministry with Stacey Henry-Carr on the Pain to Purpose podcast. Real talk, real transformation. I hope you have a wow kind of day.
This is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministry.
Thank you for watching the Pain to Purpose podcast with your host, Melissa Johnson. For more information on this topic and others, go to our website at wowministriesllc.com. If you are in need of coaching, book your consultation today and let us take you from a life of pain to a life of purpose. This has been Melissa Johnson, Wow Ministries, with the Pain to Purpose podcast.